Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. We're going to go through another roadmap devlog, which is going to talk about some stuff that has already come into the game, and also some stuff which is upcoming, mainly the night battle stuff that they talked about previously. By the way, I apologize for not streaming the last few days. I've been dealing with some family bereavement, so it hasn't been too fun, but we'll get back to it hopefully today and get everything sorted. So, let's have a look at it and what they added. We talked about the skill bonuses stuff already. They have decided to actually reward people for doing well. One of the things that was discussed for many years by many people, including myself, is this idea of rewarding people for actions in the game even if their team gets hammered. And this is something which I think has been very important when it comes to War Thunder, because War Thunder doesn't really have anything which even is anywhere near like what would be classed as like competitive matchmaking or, you know, something like ranked matchmaking in that way in standard battles. It obviously has the ranked mode now, but basically what could happen is you could get on a team which is just got a bunch of, I don't even know, like two brain cell individuals against what seems to be the masterminds of the battlefield, and then you just get hammered in about 2 or 3 minutes, right? There doesn't seem to be any matchmaking to do with skill in the game. So this led to a lot of situations where you would just get battered, and it wasn't really fun. Even in like aviation, like in Air Realistic, you know, one of the modes that I play, there is no matchmaking for squads. So one like side of the coin could have a full team of squads like working together, and the other side has nothing, which is why you get those people who have like 90-95% win rates in stuff like Air Realistic, because they just 4-stack, and then on top of it you get another set of people who 4-stack in the same nation or maybe the same squad, and then bang, there's 8 players who are in the same match, and they can just be matched against complete randoms. Now luckily in ground it does match squad versus squad. Sometimes it matches a 4-man against 2 2-mans, or a 4-man against 1 3 and 1 2, but at least there's something there, where in air there just isn't anything. So what they've decided to do is to award players who do well in the match, not just by winning and losing, but also what they end up actually doing in there. They talk a lot about the idea of how they wanted to work out, you know, what is skilled in the game, because obviously in War Thunder there is a lot of different things you can do for your team, not necessarily just kill stuff to be super useful. But they've decided to actually link it to kills. So there'll be 3 levels, right? So you got level 1, you got level 2, and level 3. And if you finish the battle in these levels, you will get an increase on the multiplier of the base RP amount. So the base excludes RP earned from boosters, premium accounts, and talismans. So then that bonus amount will be added to the total sum of what you get. I saw people really complaining about this, the fact that it doesn't add the percentage to the total that you get, and I understand the complaints, because obviously people always just want more stuff, and this would be more stuff, but this would also mean that people who play the game actually get an advantage over people who don't play the game when it comes in terms of RP in this way. And then also, at the same time, just because it's been added in this way doesn't mean it won't change in the future to benefit, you know, more people in that way. I'll be a little bit worried, personally, if they did add it to stuff like premium accounts, because of course that, once again, would mean there would be an imbalance between premium users and free-to-play users. And an idea for this system for me, which should be very important, is to try and promote people using stuff like skill over stuff like premium to be able to research. Like that's one of the things. So it being added to everybody instead of being focused around more people at premium or talismans or anything like that, I think is probably the best way to go. So as we talked about, there's 3 levels. It's going to be different in every mode. So, for example, in Ground Realistic, it's really weird how they always use realistic as as these ideas, because you know they talked about when it came to all the rank changes. that arcade was the major game mode played, which was kind of interesting, which is why they based the rank changes around that. But when it comes to all of these types of ideas, they always mention realistic instead. So you can see for level 1, if you get 3 to 5 kills, you get a 15% bonus in RP, and then 6 to 8, 50% bonus RP, and then 9 plus, you get 100% bonus RP. It says multiplies from base RP at the end of the battle. And they actually go through a scenario, which is quite nice, basically explaining how it works, which I think is good. So everybody's on the same page. So, you get 6 kills, so you're in level 2. You earn a base of 3,199 RP, and also a booster got you 640 RP. So what they do is they take the 3,199, which is the base RP, times it by 50, that gives you 1,600, because it's obviously times by 0.5, right? And then you just add them together, and then also add the booster on top, so that's how much you get. You get the 3,000 plus the 640 from the booster, plus the 1,600. So it's just a way of incentivizing people, not just to like get more kills, but also to stay in the battle more. And if you're at the end of the battle and your team's getting smoked, but maybe you have like 5 kills, or maybe you have 8 kills, maybe you spawn in again to get that additional bonus, because the difference between 8 kills and 9 kills is 50%, which is kind of nuts. So in a scenario where you actually, let's say you get 9 kills in a battle, you would actually get 6,400 RP from this, and then also plus the booster. It's pretty crazy, when you think about it in that way. Like, it's quite nice. And also the fact that they went through all the calculations is really good, just kind of showing how it all goes. One of the issues that has been talked about a lot when it comes to War Thunder is the idea that they don't really, go through how all of the equations work. Well, here you go. They've literally done it in front of your eyes. The only question is, what happens with this after the premium time and everything else comes in, which is the thing they don't talk about, as usual. Overall, this system's good. A lot of people have been asking it for a long time, some kind of skill-based either research system or SBMM, like skill-based matchmaking. For me, I'm just not interested in skill-based matchmaking in War Thunder. In Enlisted, which I don't think they have skill-based matchmaking, but it very much showed when the player base was incredibly low and everybody was waiting for the major update, what happens in situations like that, and it just wasn't fun at all. One person getting matched against 4, one person, who's high-end, and then 4 people who are mid against pretty much like nobody on their team. It just isn't fun. Like, this idea people have when it comes to like the skill-based matchmaking thing is it will at the end of the day like match people who are very equal in skill, and yes, that would be really cool, but as many people will have noted, these systems work like that in a optimal way. But most of the time, especially at certain times of the day, it is suboptimal. So therefore what happens is, instead of you getting matched with the same standard of people, what you'll have is you'll have one person who is, up here, like in skill level, and then on their team they'll have somebody who's down here, and they'll be against 2 people who are here. Right? So just in a 2 versus 2 scenario. So what ends up happening in this is the person who is up here has to play their best in order to win the battle for the person who is down here. So it means that you never have a break. You always have to play at that specific level, or you are just going to get hammered over and over again. And in a system like War Thunder, where you only have that, you don't have, that, because that would take over the standard matchmaking if they ever implemented it. It's not really fun. So this way of doing it, actually promoting people like staying more into battles, giving people bonuses for doing well, I think this is actually better. So to do it on like the other end instead of to do it on the matchmaking end itself. And I really like it, actually. Now let's go on something I don't really like, which is the night battles. I saw a lot of people in the comments last time I talked about this, where, they were saying, oh, well, if they're gonna make it toggleable, then fair enough, you know. And also, I like night battles because I don't know, like people like them for some reason. They like different weather effects and all of this stuff, which is fine. There's still a decent amount of people who want, you know, crazy weather in naval, even though it basically makes the whole game mode RNG at the end of the day. And the way that they're doing it is fine. You know, the way that they're implementing night battles, you know, making them toggleable so people don't have to, you know, play them. And also, as default now, night battles will be turned off for everybody. So you'll have to manually turn them on in the settings. And that means that it's up to you whether you want to see them or not, which is good. You know, it shouldn't be the other way around, I don't think, where it's on by default and then, you know, you have to turn it off. I actually prefer it like this, which is very good. Now, this feature isn't in the game yet, so just remember that when we discuss it. I honestly think the way that they're approaching night battles is probably like if you're not just going to straight up remove it, which should be done, the way that they're doing it is the way to do it, right? Like, you know, they're making it toggleable, they're defaulting off because that's, you know, the majority opinion on it. And then on top of this as well, they are giving people stuff for being in them. So basically, the vehicles that can participate in night battles, so night battles will only be available for vehicles with a battle rating of 10-0 and above. So that means that when this like wording comes out, this is what kind of worries me. Like, does that mean that a 9-0 can get into it? Because what if the matchmaker makes a 10-0 to 9-0 battle? But my guess is no. Because it says, for example, if you've got vehicles below 10-0 battle rating and a lineup with a 10-0 vehicle, you'll still be able to go into a night battle with this lineup. Yeah, but what if I get into a match which is 9-0 to 10-0? So there are vehicles in that match which is 10-0. Does that mean it's a night battle? You know, it's because from like the matchmaking point of view, I get it, right? But from the actual, like, how it sets up the game stuff, like, I mean, the individual matchmaking level, but how does it work from the squad one? I'm guessing, and that's just because, you know, interpretation here, it means anything 10-0 and above, right? Because it says if you've got a vehicle that is capable of participating in a night battles button will be shown in the NVD thermal modification for vehicles at 10-0 battle rating, which is nice, you know, which is quite good. The indication of the time of day and the weather. The time of day and weather of your battle will be displayed in the spawn window and when the opening scoreboard next to the mission name. This is so you'll be able to know if you're in a night battle or if it's just early evening. That's good because, you know, people will just leave if they see it sometimes. So that'll be nice, you know, easier to just leave. The other thing to also mention though about this is hopefully they can add like a BR to that area. If they can add this, right? If they can add the information of what the weather type is, surely they can add the BR, you know, range of the game that you're going into, and hopefully that means that people won't just leave straight away. But it is at least something to consider. It would be nice to see that stuff. Then they say in a future update, we're planning to make some changes to how night vision and thermal modifications work. All tanks that can use night vision will now have NVDs by default. You won't need to research any modification to get initial night vision. If a tank has thermals and at the same time night vision as well, you'll have night vision as default, but you'll need to research the thermal modification to be able to use thermals. We'll announce these changes in a regular small update in the future. So basically, everybody will get NVDs. So you won't have to research them. There won't be now, if you have a vehicle which has NVDs, there will never be a situation again where you cannot see in a night battle in some grainy green or, you know, that. So that's good. You know, that's obviously positive. More stuff which is by default is great. But at the same time, one thing I would like to add is I would keep the NVD modification, but I would make it so you can actually then change the color of the NVDs that you see, such as we have on the BMP2M Commander, where it's more like a gray NVD, so it's a bit easier to see, but it doesn't obviously give thermal signatures. I would keep the modification because it's good to have more modifications for vehicles because it means that other modifications that are useful are lower in cost. And also, at the same time, giving stuff to things stock is also positive. So those two things should be the ones which are kind of pushed for. They're also adding in a bunch of rewards for night battles, and they're really nice. You know, they're obviously trying to whoever at Gaijin is the person who is really trying to really trying to make night battles work. They are putting a lot of effort into it. You can see the club night battles decoration, the modern helmet with NVGs is really nice. Same with the decal, and the profile pictures are great too. You know, the Night Hunter one and the Special Forces soldier, and even 3 titles, and also a loading screen. So I think this is the most effort we've had put into a mode since ever, really, and it's for night battles, something that they've had to constantly change and modify because it's not good. So yeah, it's really interesting to see that's the thing. It says when completing a certain amount of mission score, you'll be able to progress through levels to reach the top. So basically the same as all events. You'll just have mission score and you just have to go up. That's fine. You know, that basically means that it's easy, right? Like you don't have to focus on like getting wins. You don't have to focus on getting top 1. You just have to play and enjoy the experiences, which I think is quite nice. This screen is good. I don't know if it's 3Dified, so you can move it and stuff, but it's still really good, you know, and this is something I will focus on. Like, for me, I actually like grinding out the loading screens, like the SU-25 one, for example, the F-14 one. I had a great blast, like, playing those. I thought it was really fun, so seeing these was really nice, too. They also said that they're still working on the severe damage mechanic. We talked about that last time, which was pretty good. And then also the research bonuses for new nations. The change in progression have a noticeable delayed effect. So at the moment, we're wary of introducing bonuses for nations. We expect mid and long-term results after changing the research trees, reducing RP in vehicle groups and skill bonuses. We'll keep you updated. So basically, they're waiting to see how quickly you grind through things, and then they're going to adjust the percentages before they add them in. Because if they add them in right now, and they don't adjust or they adjust the percentages later on, there's going to be a hell of an outcry. So, yeah, from a business point of view, this makes sense. From an individual point of view, this hurts, right? Because what you want is you want them to release all this stuff at the same time, and if they want to modify them later on, go ahead. But you've got to remember, there are a decent chunk of people where if they do that, then of course they're not going to be happy. So for me, when I look at this, like I understand why they're doing it. I wish they weren't. I wish in general it was just put in like it said it was going to. But at the same time, they're being wary of it because they don't want to have to negatively adjust it in the future because people, in their opinion, are grinding too much. Now, imagine if they made a devblog where it's like, so, you're grinding too fast, man. Like you're blowing through tech trees, and we don't want you to do that. You know, you're getting everything too quickly, man. And so we're gonna lower it. And then imagine the outcry if they did that. There's not really a way of like PRing yourself out of that or like sugarcoating yourself out of that. So so yeah, that's why they're not putting it in. That's pretty much what it says, by the way. When it comes to this paragraph. So that's what you should take away from it. We're waiting to see what the other changes we've done will do, so we don't make everything way too easy to do for you and have to change it negatively in the future. But overall, this devblog's good. You know, the night battle stuff is nice. You know, the fact that they're making it toggleable and off by default, the fact that they're adding a lot of stuff for people to grind out of them is really nice, and so therefore the option's still there for people who want to play it. And of course the skill bonuses are very positive as well. Of course there is always going to be a set of people who want more, and that's just how this has gone for the longest time in War Thunder. Like, you think about the amount of benefits we've had over the last few years, it's just been nuts when it comes to the game. Not just like graphically or vehicles added. Like, a lot of crowd favorites have been added the last few years. You know, the Elephant, then also stuff like the B-26, for example, and there's only really one which is missing now, like the Stug 4, for God's sake. And, of course, all the British vehicles, but, you know, we'll talk about that later. So, it's really nice to see more positivity. Yesterday, I looked on the game, there was 225,000 people online. It was just nuts to see, and it just makes me incredibly happy. And as always, I hope you have a wonderful day. and I'll see you next time. I'd just like to thank Brendan Quinn, Vilneus, Character Fuel, Juan the Panda, Carrion Crow, Gus Irenicus, Pyman, Merciless Reaper, Orange Tail, Teddy, Daniel Stanton, Moxie, B. Young, Bareen, Peter Grayling, Alan Hacker, Sem Alslan, Uncle Bean, and Derek R., and also Lafouche for supporting the channel.